The total cases that were diagnosed in the country were 103,981. So in that particular year, 2011, 4% defaulted, which were actually 4,159 cases. That is the actual number.
I suffered TB for almost a year. I was admitted in hospital for 2 weeks where they did a major operation because my TB was for the intestines. And I was told I either got it by taking milk that is not boiled, taking blood, or meat that is not well cooked. And because of where I come from, me being Maasai, milk, blood, and meat that is not well cooked, that's our food. I never skipped medication. And with what I went through, then I knew there are so many out there who are dying of it, and yet they do not know. Out of that, I took it in my heart, made my passion to go out there and create awareness and become a TB defaulter tracer.
A TB defaulter is a patient who has interrupted treatment for at least 2 consecutive months.
I live with my parents in Olmerui. It's about 8 kilometers away from Kajiado town. If I'm to trace a defaulter, I always leave at 7 in the morning. I normally walk from home to town. It's almost like 8 kilometers from home. It takes me like an hour or 2 to reach Kajiado town. Ini nenda. Aku na ingine nenda.
Video nenda hakuna ingine.
Hakuna ingine haraka haraka. Aki. We are at the Namanga Health Clinic, and I'm just from seeing Anne, the nurse who's in charge of the TB HIV clinic. She's just handed me a list of 6 defaulters. This list has their names, the last time they were seen, the physical address where they live, and some of them have telephone numbers. From this list, I'll be able to trace these patients and bring them back to the clinic. Hello, the person that I've just called, I'm being told she's in Tanzania, across the border, taking herbal medication. To us, this is a challenge because we will not be able to trace this person.
Herbs do not treat TB. We have no documented evidence so far.
This has really affected us so much in Kajiado. For the few cases that we've managed to trace and talk to, they don't clearly understand the consequences of defaulting. So you find themselves still falling victims to brainwashing and being convinced to seek alternative treatment.
From the list, there are those that don't have telephone numbers. We use the physical address. The physical address can be a church, a school, or even a shop. A good example is when I went to Maltisa. I was not able to trace this guy's physical address, so I started inquiring from people at the stage if they know him by his name. They kept on taking me from one place to the other, but I did not give up because I know that is life. I was able to trace the family shop, and from the family shop, they gave me their niece who took me to where he was. That place, he was at Mabarini. Mabarini is a place where they go to take their traditional brew.
If you're a TB patient and you indulge in alcoholism, then chances that you default are very high. Probably out of stigma that is associated with TB, they get depressed and resort to drug abuse, alcoholism, and this one compounds the treatment of TB. It worsens the problem.
Jana unajua nimekuambia shida yangu.
Ni uliniambia na nashukuru.
Nikaa tu nimepoteza. Nilitafuta tikiti ikiwa bado siku 3. Pesa ikawa nimekosa pesa kabisa. Si nikakaa mpaka madawa ikaisha. Nikajaribu kutafuta lift, nikaikosa. Kweli kwa kusema kweli, jana wakati wao watu walikuja, hata mimi nilikuwa natafuta tu namna angalau nifanye nini? Niende hospitali kwa ajili hiyo kitu nimekosea sana, lakini ni hiyo shida nimepata.
We have to come up with what we call pro-poor initiatives, or initiatives that support the poor patients to be able to access care.
Our day was successful. We managed to get John, and we actually took him to hospital, that is Namanga Health Clinic, where he was addressed by the nurse and he was given some medicine for 1 week. And my duty will be to follow him up until he finishes. And if he defaults again, now this time we'll take him to the Manyata, that is at the Kajiado District Hospital.
In these Manyatas, this person can come with the animals. In these Manyatas, this person can come even with their family. And they can stay there. In that particular Manyata, they will be able to access not only the required medicines, but they can also be able to access food. They'll also be able to access water, which is really very critical for their animals. And therefore, these people will be able to take the medicines for the period of time that they are in that Manyata.
Mailtisa, there's a guy being told that he's defaulted from taking medicine. Ati wanasema 300. Hiyo ni pesa mingi sana. 200. Unfortunately, we've reached here and the guy is not here, and this is what sometimes I go through. You look for them, you reach their homestead, and they're not there. And the other thing is they don't even have a phone that you can be able to call them. So we still keep on looking for him because he's a danger to the society. In Namanga, I was helped by the public health officers who linked me to a police officer. She accompanied me to Mailtisa. And when we reached Mailtisa, we were joined by another public health officer. And from there, we started tracing Minjel, whom we had traced earlier before. But I don't know what happened. He stopped again. I was forced to trace him again. We managed to meet him in one of the places where he hangs out, and he was arrested by the police officer. We were forced to use a taxi because we could not get him into a matatu because of his health. From Mailtisa, we took Minjil to Kajiado District Hospital at the Manyata, where they treat TB patients. We now left him in the hands of the officials. The district medical health officer decided it's a police case.
If you're in the process of getting healed, the process of taking medication, and you're the right path of getting healed, then you default, then it means you relapse back to where you were before. The other thing that you're likely to get into when you default from TB treatment is acquired drug resistance. This is a case where we find patients no longer respond to the conventional TB treatment regimens.
This morning, Minjil was brought to court, where he was charged for negligence, i.e. not taking medication. The case was done outside because of his condition.
They put him in isolation, and after serving the sentence, he'll continue being remanded at the Kajiado GK prison until when the MOH Kajiado is satisfied that he has completed his drugs.
The government has put in place a lot of measures to make sure that the default rate has come down to the low of 4% that we are seeing right now. And it is totally impossible to say that we will reach zero unless all the structures are in place to make sure that the patients are able to get their medicines where they are supposed to take the medicines.
We've seen the tremendous effect of defaulter tracing using the community health workers, it is yielding fruits. We also want to request the community to be their own supervisors in the interest of the community. Everybody must complete treatment.
I cannot imagine someone dying out of TB, and yet it's curable, and the government has made it free for all TB patients. So, because of that, nothing will stop me. I will bring them back.